Hey, everybody, welcome to a brand new season of Not Your Average Bucket List, a travel podcast unlike any other on the internet right now, and I'm not just being biased. We bring you the best of the best, off the beaten path places, hidden gems, you name it, we cover it, and our hopes are to inspire the inner adventurer in us all. I'm here with my co host, Sarah. Hello, Sarah.
Hi, Marissa. How are you?
I'm doing well. I'm very excited about season 3. How do you feel about it?
Yeah, I'm pumped. I am really looking forward to what we're going to talk about this season. I think people are going to love it.
Yeah, so we have 2 full seasons under our belt right now, plus our monthly things to do in your state series. And we're also coming up on our 1 year podcast anniversary next month.
Ooh.
So, just overall, how are you feeling about what we've covered so far? How do you think, the show has evolved?
Yeah, I mean, I think we've changed a lot, really. One, just getting used to the cadence and the recording and trying to figure out, our voices, what we want to talk about, and what we want to teach people. Because, from going over small towns to talking about lore and legends, those are drastically different things.
Yeah.
And not gonna lie, I'm looking forward to this season because I think highlighting spots that people can actually visit and we encourage them to visit and we want to like do the hard work for you. I'm really excited about it. How about you? Like, what are you thinking about when it comes to the evolution of the podcast?
Yeah, honestly, I'm really proud of how far we've come because we both kind of came into this having a lot of travel experience under our belts. And, um, it's kind of hard to jump into something and immediately crush it. And I feel like we struggled a little bit along the way. There was, just getting our feet wet. There's a lot of,
Yeah.
first of all, it's weird recording a podcast in general. Let's just put that out there because you're not having that face to face interaction with somebody. It's a lot like our remote working styles at only
Hmm.
state where we're on Zoom, we're talking to somebody through a computer and you don't have that like face to face interaction. So I feel like kind of getting used to you and I just like vibing on a
Hmm.
podcast through a computer, like kind of took a little bit of time, but yeah,
Yeah.
I do feel like we found our rhythm and I'm excited that each of our seasons are so different from one another.
Me too. I don't know why, but whenever you were talking about that, all I could think of was that Zoolander scene when he's like, "It's in the computer," and they're like, "Smash!" But yeah, we're in the computer. We're not out in real life. Although I will say, for this season, I'm really hoping that both of us can do some traditional, only in your state, boots on the ground kind of work, and experience some of these things for and with our users. So that's going to be really exciting.
Yes, I agree. I'm very pumped. So, with that said, season 3, our official focus for this upcoming season, this is going to be a good old fashioned road trip.
Hell
And,
yeah.
but it's not going to be just any road trip that we're throwing at you. We are gathering places that are quintessential in your state. So we basically are getting in touch with our local travel experts here at Only in Your State. Plus, we're polling our readers, which I think is the coolest thing, is getting our readers to interact and to tell us the top attractions, the top restaurants, everything that you would think of to visit in your state. That's what we're going to focus in one road trip.
Yeah, so basically the ultimate state pride road trip for every state, the like top bucket list spots that you have to go to, whether it is this insane double waterfall or a field full of cement corn. I think we're gonna like really
I
look,
need
don't
to know
knock it
more
to
about this.
well. I bet you can't wait for the Ohio episode. But like I'm looking forward to having that kind of diversity of content all in one trip because I think depending on the state, and I think we've learned a lot actually covering the best things to do in state and interacting with our local travel writers and experts because I might not be familiar with, say, the best things to do in Michigan, but I'm so excited to have these reader polls, talk with these travel experts, and come up with these things that are a surprise and delight to me, but then also are just like a awesome constellation of things that represent the state. So that's going to be
Yeah.
super, super cool.
Yeah. And I think it's like, it's the best part about it is that if you have people that are coming to your state to visit, because I used to have this problem when I first moved down to Florida. I used to have this problem where I would have friends visit, and then I'm like, where am I taking them? Where are we going? What are we doing? And they're like, I've never been to Florida. What are the best, like,
Yeah.
and it's really hard to kind of pinpoint, these places out. And I think what we should also tell people is that this isn't just going to be like, oh, we researched the 10 most popular places in each state, because that's not what this road trip is going to be about.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
We're not trying to cover things that have already been covered. But with that said, like, for example, in Florida, you would think Orlando. Okay, cool. So Orlando would be on the list, but we're not going to showcase Disney World. Like, there's so much more
Wait,
to
what?
Orlando.
This Disney World. What is it?
That is, unless Disney wants to sponsor us, that it's all Disney World all the time.
Right. Fair enough. Yeah. Yep.
But yeah, I think that's what's going to be so cool about this season is that it's not just going to be, we're not just like rattling off the 10 most frequented places in each
Yeah.
state.
Yeah. So, okay. So if you if you have had friends visit you in Florida, what are some of the places you have taken them that you're like, okay, this might have to go this season? Like, that it's, I mean, not to like blow up your spot, but I would be curious, like,
Yeah.
what's one of the craziest places you've ever taken someone from out of town?
Okay, this is going to sound wild. It just popped into my head, but Santa's Enchanted Forest
What?
in, yeah. Yep. It's right next to the cement cornfield.
Ooh, that's so cool.
But no, so it's like this huge Christmas festival that happens in Miami, and it's usually at a tropical park every year. Like, it's massive.
Okay.
It's like a
Yeah.
month-long celebration. And just real quick, the reason why this popped into my head is because we went, a bunch of my friends, my sister and I, we were riding rides. It was great. It was like a really cold night in Miami, so nobody was at Santa's Enchanted Forest except for us. We were
Yeah.
on a ride. It stopped. Nobody was in line. So we asked the guy, hey, just run it one more time. He's like, no, you have to get off and come back on. We're like, nobody's in line.
Yeah.
He's like, nope, sorry, that's the rule. So we like got off, got back on. He ran it for 3 times as long. We all threw up, and my equilibrium has never been the same. Yes.
Whoa.
Right.
Whoa.
So yeah, Santa's Enchanted Forest, great time. Great family fun. Highly recommend.
Do you want to see your beloved friends and family puke right in front of you? If it's below 50 degrees, head on out.
I know. Luckily for me, my friends did come back to visit, so that was at least nice. But yeah, what about you for Ohio? Like, if I were to come to visit you, because I personally have never been to Ohio.
Really, never? Not even like driving through it?
I don't think so. I
Okay.
really don't think so, but I'm not sure. But I've never stopped and like explored.
Well, okay. So if you were to come to Ohio, where would I take you? That's a great question, because it depends on what are we going to do. Is it going to be on the Erie coast? Are we going to go into Cuyahoga Valley National Park and do like a bike and train kind of thing? Or maybe take you down to Mansfield Reformatory, the Ohio State Reformatory. That's Yep, that's it. That's the one.
Nope,
I can tell by your reaction. That's the one you were hoping.
I knew you were going to throw that in there.
Oh, that's okay. We can go during,
Daytime?
like, no, absolutely not. No, but, so it's not something that I did purposefully whenever a friend was visiting, but I was living at this like historic building in the area. And one of my friends came by, and I'm like, oh, you know what? There are tunnels underneath this place. I'm not going to say which building, just in case they're still like open to the public. And I took her down, and there was just like a network through the nearby city. Like, I could smell the nearby like pizzeria, and I'm like, oh, and there's like all these hallways stretching. Yeah, that was probably the coolest thing. Also possibly the dumbest, because we're like doing the thing where you put the bricks down, like, oh, I hope this doesn't shut behind me.
But were there lights? Was this a dark tunnel?
Oh, it was it was a
like
flashlights. Yes, we had flashlights and phones. We made it out, don't you worry.
I have anxiety just listening to this story.
Just wait till you feel when you're below the, reformatory and the isolation cells, and I just, like, shut the gate and I take off running.
Oh my gosh. One thing I will tell you though is actually this season, I'm going to Halloween Horror Nights in Orlando. Just quick sidebar,
Ooh,
yeah, and so
yeah.
I'm already a bit worried about going through these haunted houses in Universal Studios, but yeah,
Have you ever been? I almost went whenever we had our company trip, whenever that was, and they were having Halloween Horror Nights, but I saw, like, the wait times were, like, 3 hours per haunted house, so I
yeah,
wasn't quite that dedicated. Is it the
no,
same in Orlando? Yeah, okay.
yeah. I went a long time ago, and it was yeah, crazy, crazy wait time. So you kind of have to go if you can go during the week, go
Yeah.
during the week, but
I mean, it looks
yeah.
fantastic. As far as, like, haunted houses and, like, quality goes, that looks really cool.
Yeah. This year they're highlighting Stranger Things and The Last of Us. I know. If you want to come down, come on down.
Okay, well, now I am. That's amazing. Imagine all the
Yeah.
clickers. That's gonna be so
No,
fun.
I don't know how they're
Yeah.
going to do it. Anyway,
Yeah.
so yeah, back to season 3. This is just a quick intro episode. We're basically just trying to get people as excited as we are. We're also going to tell you if you do not follow your state on Only in Your State Facebook, if you don't follow your state in particular, maybe go follow it because we're going to be polling our readers
Mhm.
and we want to see your recommendations.
Yes, so if you don't follow, only in Ohio, only in Florida, only in the other states we're gonna cover, uh, make sure you go find that. Even sign up for our newsletter. Head to onlyinourstate.com, click subscribe up in the top bar, and subscribe to your newsletter because we're also pulling via email too, just in case you aren't a Facebook kind of person, which I totally understand.
Yes,
Sometimes
fair.
it's not someone's cup of tea.
Yeah. So are there any standout states in this particular season besides Ohio that you're like particularly pumped for?
Let me think. Um, I actually want to double check the list because I just reviewed it before this. So I think, gosh, there's so many good states on this list.
Yeah.
Honestly, I would say maybe the Carolinas because
Mm,
I do love taking trips. They're pretty close. And I've been through them so many times, but not to like just dilly-dally and have a good time. I'm
mm.
usually on my way to Florida or to the beach somewhere and it's just like no time to stop. I don't, you know. So I'm looking forward to that. Yeah. How about you?
Yeah. I think honestly, I'm excited about anywhere in the like northeast section
Ooh, yeah.
of the US. I do feel like sometimes we are focusing more on just maybe southern and like some of the west coast states, but I got really
Yeah.
excited talking about Massachusetts last season. I thought that was a
Yeah.
blast. And I don't there's something just about this time, like we're about to enter into fall, like fall up there is just gorgeous. So while we
Yeah.
might not be focusing maybe on seasonal content, like it's still that always just like inspires me to want to get out and like travel, especially during autumn.
Yes. So funny enough, we covered Massachusetts in our last season. We talked about the Salem witch trials and all that stuff. And after that, I was so excited about Massachusetts. I told my one good friend, I'm like, hey, we got to go to Massachusetts. She was super pumped. I'm like, yes, let's make a plan. And it was early July, maybe late June, whenever we were having this conversation, booked solid. So, so if you're planning on going to Salem in the
Oh
fall, you
yeah.
got to do it like a year in advance, maybe,
Yeah.
because it was wild. Like the available hotels and VRBOs were like 3,000 a night. I'm like, nope,
Oh
can't do that.
wow.
Can't do that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, that did just like out of nowhere, I feel like the last couple years, maybe because TikTok and social
Yep.
media just like blew up.
Yep. So
Interesting.
but yes, I love taking road trips whenever it's seasonally appropriate, especially autumn. But we also are going to be trying to plan our season to make sure that we're not covering, say, Wisconsin in the dead of winter. So it's not going to be
Yeah.
seasonal necessarily, but we also don't want to hype you up to go out and explore and it's a blizzard. So
Yeah.
we're going to do our best. It might not be timed perfectly, but
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's going to be the most exciting part is that we're going to have accompanying road trip maps.
mhm.
So, anybody that's listening to each episode, you could take the map, do with it what you please.
Yep.
And then, if you want to plan for a road trip in spring or summer, like when it's warmer, save the map, keep it handy, and then just like kind of curate something to look forward to in
Yeah.
2024.
I will say whenever we're picking out these stops, we're going to do our best to make it so that way it's a kind of a loop road trip. And no matter where you are in the state, you can possibly enjoy some of it. Whether you want to do a day trip, a weekend trip, take the whole week to see it all. But we understand that listeners are everywhere. We don't know when you're going to, if you fly to a state and you want to take a road trip and you land somewhere, we don't know where that's going to be. So we're going to do our best to kind of cover most of the state in a way. So,
Yeah, it's very exciting. And
mhm.
we're going to drop in the show notes of this episode. I'm pretty sure we drop it in every show note of every episode, but a way to get in contact with us. So via
Yes.
our telephone number, you could leave us a voicemail, you could send us a text, or you can send us an email and let us know what places in your state that you think are like quintessential representation of your state.
Yes, and whenever we are posting those prompts on Facebook of like, "Hey, where should we cover?" I know I'm planning on it. I don't know about you, Marissa, but I'm going to be reading through those comments, interacting, commenting, and same with like our YouTube comments and any emails that we get about the podcast. So reach out to us. We'd be happy to chat. And if you have a great story or a great point of interest you want to talk about, maybe you can even join us on the podcast. So yeah.
Ooh,
I
love that.
know.